I learn native traditions and indigenous traditions because it lays a foundation for me to stand on that affords me the opportunity to truly have the courage to stand and be me no matter what me looks like. It shows me that there can be many facets of me, but it's still one me. And that my native traditions versus the African traditions versus what I may have learned in New Zealand, what I may have learned in Peru, it all converges to one. And that's me, and me standing in my truth. And me is a many-faceted person. I am a person that can do a little bit of everything. But not one thing stands out that I say, I can only do this. That is the foundation of me. And so here it is that I glean the traditions of all of these different indigenous cultures, and it cultivates who I am. Because me doesn't draw off of just any one thing. That wouldn't be me. Me has many faces and knows how to pull from what I've learned to lift a person up. And whether that be from the Peruvian notions that I've learned, the Ojibwe, the African, the New Zealand, whatever that is. Whatever that is, it allows me to be able to pull from that place inside me that says, here's what needs to happen in order to lift that person up. Well, I think that indigenous cultures have had it the whole time. They've known how to heal. They've known how to move in harmony with nature. They knew how to read the stars. They've had all of this knowledge forever. They are the ancient ones, and then somewhere we forgot. We forgot to value them. We forgot to understand the importance of what they bring to the table. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, we preserve them to things like reservations. We preserve them to things like, you stand aside, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to come in here, I'm a big conglomerate, something created by a bunch of people who only have money intended in the first place, and basically said, it's not relevant. You know, when we look at like the College of Arts and Sciences, don't we understand that that was based on a mystery school? I mean, why do we think mystery schools are so terrible and they have to be hidden and in secret when our own foundational colleges are based? Our College of Arts and Science, if anyone's ever looked up the history of that, they'll realize they're based on mystery schools. So when we look at some of the things that are formulated that we're saying, oh, it has to be done this way. Well, guess what? They're based on history. They're based on the indigenous practices that have always been there. Pharmaceuticals now, right? They're still going to the Amazon, right? We discredit the Amazonians. We call them wild or whatever the case may be. They don't know, savages, whatever, you know. And then it's yet that the pharmaceuticals are sending people out to the Amazon to engage these tribes, to find a particular herb plant and everything so that they can add what? Chemicals to it? And say, here, I can fix you?
Mass produce it.
And then mass produce it. And then why wouldn't we just look at the plant? Why do we feel that we need chemicals to change our environment when plants have been doing it for years and years and years? And the herbalism, there are many people out here that understand herbs. There are many, many. And yet we watch history demonize them. So for me, maybe I'm an ancient one. Maybe that's what it boils down to. Because if you get to the root of who I am, I basically learn knowledge of how things were done in its infancy. Fiber arts, I know how to work with a spindle, how to work with the land to build a structure, okay? That's what sweat lodges are built from, and definitely can build one in a sacred way, in harmony with the land, okay? When we look at the life skills needed to survive, identification of plants, You know, understanding that half the things we're calling weeds are plants that we could turn around, put in a poultice, put on our eye, and it'll heal us. But we're so busy running to the doctor that we won't even look in our own front yard. So I know that this knowledge is invaluable. And part of what I've gleaned from these tribes and studies with them is remembering the ancient practices, remembering the ways, remembering to cultivate and keep them fresh and alive. So that is part of the makeup of what I crave. So gleaning this type of ancient knowledge and looking at how I have to live today, I had to find that delicate balance of what's practical and what's not. So I am not here to say that everything that's modern is wrong. That's ridiculous. But what I am here to say is that maybe we need to take the time to just learn some of the basic pieces that allow us to leverage other alternatives than what we're used to, our go-to, in order to improve our lives. Do we need to take aspirin and put it in our bodies, or can we actually invest in a little peppermint and lavender, mix it together, put it on our temples, and realize that we can let go of our headache? You know, versus, you know, automatically putting things in our body. For example, how to release a virus, right? All of us start off with a cold and the sniffles, and we go, oh, I got a cold, I got a sniffle. You know, it's going to be a cold. I know where this is going. I can feel it in my body. And yes, if you're in tune with your body, you can feel it coming on. Well, I found that if I juice black radish, onion, red onion, garlic, ginger, turmeric, and I mask it with some honey and a little cayenne pepper, and I take 3 shots of that a day, 3 days in a row, no virus. No virus. And it's the black radish combination with these other pieces. They knock out viruses. And if you look at the properties of black radish, which is how I stumbled over this, because I was looking and I wanted to cook with it, it's used to knock out all the way down to like cancer and precancerous pieces. And I'm like, here's a food we can ingest. And this whole concept of the fact that we can ingest foods and change our environment, especially when I had my own health scare, what did I do? I changed my diet. I went to an acupuncturist who worked on my environment because I couldn't do the physical. But with a change in diet, strengthening my immunity system by taking more herbs or taking vitamins, and then having somebody who can work with me, I was able to change that. But I think part of our thing is that instant gratification. So when we look at these practices, we have to change taking the time to consider something and bringing it in and incorporating it into our lives.